here. So,
And we are recording.
okay, very good. So, welcome everyone to our Tuesday, September 24th wallet development and testing session. This is the first session, and today we're going to review all of the efforts that have uh, happened over the past year towards wallet development, with the hope of focusing that just kind of see where we're at and what we can do to produce a wallet and expound on what Arvin has created with the my RChain wallet. I see Arvin has apparently he was having some technical difficulties and has stepped away. Oh, Arvin just came back on. Welcome, Arvin. Are you able to hear us?
Yeah,
Okay,
I can hear you.
very good. Welcome. So I have a loose agenda for today, and I think this meeting will be my thought is that it'll be guided just by our conversation as far as identifying what we have so far as far as development and tools and so forth, and where we need to go, and the structure we need to create, and who are the key players. So those are sort of the topics that we can discuss, and it'll be kind of free flowing. But I wanted to start off with Arvin to just kind of get a feel, get an update on how your efforts are in developing the front end. And once again, Arvin, he's working on my RChain wallet front end. He's a front end developer working on that user interface. So if you go to myrchainwallet.com, you can see his efforts. So Arvin, how's the development going for you?
Okay, I just will share my screen.
Yes, please.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, in last week, I just developed the basic interface about my RChain wallet. And you can see that here is the language change. You can change between English and Chinese. And this part will change the language. And I have developed the basic interface, but this button is we can use it. And you can change the with the menu, and you will navigate to different pages. And I just also make this web available for the mobile. So
okay.
when you use the iPhone or other smartphone, you can see that you can use it also smoothly. Yeah, that's my work by now, and maybe in the next week I will make the transfer interface and the address count creation and address activation part, and then we can just test the basic progress of the create account, then log in the dashboard and then transfer. But this process also didn't contain the real transformation. Yeah, and the other part maybe take another 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, I think. And I need Deep's help to develop the real function.
Right. Okay, good. Well, tremendous. I'm glad to see your my RChain wallet is taking shape, and we certainly appreciate your effort on developing that front end. So, and we look, I think perhaps maybe a week from now, if you have that account creation set up, perhaps as a group, we can do some testing there on setting up individual accounts. Okay, so as I mentioned, so I'm kind of open it back up to the group. So Arvin's working on the front end. Now, there's a lot of other pieces that need to be created and connected in order for us to have a fully functional wallet. So kind of want to open a discussion there as far as what do we see as our efforts in order to create some of these other pieces. Anyone?
Yeah, I can definitely say something about that. I was working on some examples exactly for this connection to Arnold, right?
Oh,
the one thing is when you have API, but you need to prepare the data or or think about this another layer. What are you doing with exactly the network, the state of the virtual machine? Right? When you're doing the deploy and then listening the data. So I can show you some of these examples.
Please.
I'm not finished yet completely. I'm just I'm almost done. So I was modifying this example that I already have for API generator. So I will first show you the end result. So I was trying to create first to transform existing public key to REV address, also the Ethereum address. So we need both, because in wallets TXT is Ethereum address. Well, I didn't know that, so yeah, now I know. So I created a JavaScript function to make this transform. From this public key, I can extract REV address, and for this REV address, I can execute. I can push deploy to my node and check the balance. The same thing I want to do with transfer. And these rolling code for these actions are already in RChain repository. So when I create this deploy.
Hey, Tomislav.
Sure.
This is great. So this is actually working the code that takes the ROC address and converts it to the REV address.
Yes, I will show the code.
Okay.
Now
cool.
I first want to show what is the result, right?
Okay, cool. I was just double checking that it was working code. This is excellent. Thank you.
Yep. Here you can see in JavaScript how I converted this public key to REV address and to Ethereum address. It's just a few hashes that you need to do on the public key.
Cool.
So I used this REV address to insert in the existing template for the balance code, and I deployed this code to my local node and propose, of course. And you can see, let me make it bigger. I'm checking the balance. This is exactly the same contract, and I'm getting the result. So sorry for this additional entries in the log. This is my modification, but here's the balance. This balance is created with this Ethereum address, which is exactly the address which correspond to this public key that I checked, and this is the initial balance that I started my standalone node.
Are you sure this address matches the one that it does not match the rev address. Why is that?
I'm not sure. Here I need to enter Ethereum address.
Okay. Okay.
I was thinking that I need to enter a rev address, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, right? So yeah, I didn't already finish with transfer. I only have balance, but the same thing is. Let me clear the screen. The same thing is similar to transfer. So here is the code. No. So I have this template. It's just a copy of the existing balance code that we have in RChain repository. So to check the balance, what we need to do, we need to execute. We need to send deploy to Arnold, right? We need to change the state of the of the blockchain. And with this change, we cannot get a result immediately, right? Because our code must be propagated to the network, and when all validators finalize the block, so when this block will be finalized, when all have consensus, then you can extract the balance, which is the final result. And this is where we don't have all the necessary operations that we can execute on the Arnold. So now I'm looking this result in the code in the log. So this is the initiating this operation of checking balance, sending the deploy. And when this deploy is sent, and this is really happening here, because here I'm receiving the deploy, and for now with any key I can deploy the contract, but later you need to have a valid public like a private key that has enough revs. And after you deploy, you don't get any result. Is this make sense?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm following. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you mentioned that there were some functions that are lacking, and I guess it's that when you send the transaction, there's a delay because you don't because the block that's the send is going to be in isn't finalized, so there's no way to get the balance back.
Yeah.
And then and I'm just trying to think of other coins I send, because they all are going to have the same problem. You do get things like pending, and you get a transaction hash.
And you have listen on the name, right?
Right.
But these things will not be available on the mainnet.
So so do you have, are you keeping like a little list of the things that you're going to need?
So I'm slowly want to introduce this another interface that are currently creating on Arnold. So I was chatting with Dominic, and he introduced me to this event interface, or it's more like it's part of the like block API that you can listen and get all the needed information from blocks, that you can reconstruct all the history. So not only that you can get the result from your contract, right? Because this is what you want. You're creating deploy, and then you're expecting some result on some name that you can listen. So that name that you are listen, it's really somewhere in the blocks. right? That somewhere in the blocks is result that you are waiting. So we will have this API, and the shape of API is it's mostly in this file. For now, it has these three events. Block created, block added, and block finalized. This is the data types that are published when the event happened. So after we deploy a contract, we need to listen for the blocks, and when our block when we will have a way to find we will have a way to find our deploy in the block, and then later we will find that this block is finalized, and somehow we will read the result from this information in these events or these blocks. And for now, we can only listen for these events without some way to get all the previous blocks. So we need a way to like catch up what happened before, or if we miss some kind of block, we need a way to query all the blocks.
Cool. So this is also going to be up in open source, because I'm thinking that Arvin, when he starts to add some of this functionality to his wallet, this would be, I don't know if.
Yeah, this is in a sense. Yeah, this is like a low level explanation, because you need to search through the blocks and everything. But I want to make a wrapper around the whole API, so you can the one thing is abstracting exactly the protocol, because this is one layer, but this another layer is abstracting operations on the RChain. Yep. So when you make a check balance deploy, this wrapper can do all this checking in the background. Because this operations is completely asynchronous. So you are sending something and you don't exactly know when you will receive the result, or maybe you will not receive the result if this block becomes orphan. So this wrapper will give you some kind of more synchronous operation, like promise that you can expect result in the same way as any other function. So this is the thing that I want to create, and so that you can easily use and send any deployment you want.
Yeah, I forgot what I used to use. Are you using like some JavaScript asynchronous listener library?
Yeah.
Okay, I forget what I used before, but yeah.
It's this promise data type is now available in the browser and also in the Node.js. So it's not something that you need to import specially.
Okay.
And you can easily build with polyfills for older browsers, and yeah.
Okay. That was great.
So Tomislav,
I will publish. I will check in this code. Almost. I almost done. So I will have this code in my GitHub. Yeah.
Okay. Can we see the address JavaScript? I just want to know, for the elliptic curve digital signature translation from your Ethereum address to your public key and rev address, if that's if you're doing that locally and using any kind of
Here
libraries.
here is the complete code.
Okay.
I made it very, very clear and, simple, so you can easily check what he's doing.
Wonderful. Very cool.
It's really just creating Ethereum address, which is one hash without the first byte on the public key, and this is one hash. And to get a rev address, you need to hash it again, and then just prefix with these zeros.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. And the checksum is done with another hashing algorithm, Blake 2B. And I'm using this code directly from RChain repository, from Scala code. Because Arnold can do this work for you. So I was just, reverse engineer the code from Arnold.
All right, great work.
And I wonder something. Why can't you use the the preview private name API to predict what will be the first private name, and then simply do a regular polling on this private name?
Yeah, Dominic told me that this will not be the way that you doing this in the mainnet. So I'm not sure this will be supported at all, but this events API will be the preferred method to do this, because you will have a way to explore the execution trace.
Okay, so okay, maybe you don't know. So because on DAPI, I'm relying entirely on previewing private names and then deploying and then polling. So okay.
So you will have WebSockets connection, and you will get the push information when your deploy is finalized.
Okay.
So you will not need to pull and check when this is happened. So it will be a little easier. And
Okay, great.
Tomislav, and I'm thinking of the user experience with the wallet. So as a user, I have my ROC private key. So is the process where I simply input my ROC private key? Is there a button that I need to press, or is it is the rev address auto-generated for that conversion? How do you envision that piece happening from the user experience?
So you are getting a rev address from an Ethereum address from public key, but also from private key you can always get the public key.
Right. So I have my ROC private key, or so do I enter in my private key or my public key initially?
First, for each deploy, you need a private key.
Private key.
Right?
Okay.
This is for the deploy. But when you're checking balance, right? You will need some private key to sign the deploy, right, and to pay for the deploy. Right, but this is not related to this public key or rev address that you want to check the balance. Right. So for this address, you can get. I can give you my public key, and you can check the balance. Right.
Okay, so I guess I'm starting from the very basic of when, and maybe I should have sort of explained my question a little bit better. So this conversion of ROC, well, it's not a conversion to ROC to rev, it's just the creation of a rev address. And in order for that rev address to be created, I simply input my ROC private key, and the my RChain wallet does that conversion of the Rock private key to the Rev private key. So there's nothing that I need to do with that you envision within the interface.
When you say a Rock private key,
or I should say what the Ethereum private key. So my Rock private key is my.
Are you talking about the swap? This swap for Ethereum, because
right, the swap. So it's not necessarily a swap or a transfer from Rock to Rev. I'll continue to have my Rock, but I'll also have, in addition, Rev. So I'm thinking from the user experience of what this is going to look like, where I have my RChain wallet, and I have my Rock is on on an Edge wallet. So I get the private key for the Rock, enter it into my RChain wallet. My RChain wallet does that conversion on the elliptical curve, and then the Rev immediately appears. So in the wallet, I guess maybe this is what I'm getting to. In my RChain wallet, I'll show both a Rock balance and a Rev balance.
I see.
Yeah, you're going to have both.
Going to have both.
And then, the UI probably should have a way to very visually make it apparent, because you'll have the Rev will be a different address, although it's derived from your Rock address. That's the public address. Your private key is the same, and your private key should stay private.
Now, when you say that,
and when we talk about when we talk about a public key, it doesn't make sense to say it's Ethereum public key or Rev public key, right? Because it corresponds to exactly one address on the Ethereum and one for Rev. So they are all the same. So you can convert between the formats. So it doesn't matter, if you say Rev address or Ethereum address or a public key, because you can easily go from a public key to these other formats.
Yeah. So
from Ethereum to Rev.
Yeah. The only thing I was saying is to Steve's point, they are two different addresses, right? And one address is going to have your Rock, which eventually over time will probably have no value because it won't be used on the network. But anyway, it will always be at your Rock address. And then, like Tomislav was saying, your Rock address is actually derived from your Rev address. So you could go back and forth, but they are two distinct wallets.
That's the thing. They're two different. And from the user perspective, the user needs to understand that there are two different numbers. What's going on behind the scenes. We understand, the mechanism of how they can be derived from one to the other, but from that user interface, that experience is, oh, okay, I see a Rock and I see my balance, and there's an associated private key, and then I see my Rev, a balance and associated private key.
The private key is the same, so let's not confuse that. The private key is the same.
You're starting with an elliptic curve key set, which is your public and private key. So from that, you can derive both an Ethereum address and a Rock address.
Okay, well, that was the key point that I needed to understand is, so the private key will be the same for both the Rock and the Rev, but it's the public key which is regenerated, which I get a different number for the public key.
Yeah,
okay.
I like to think of a public key actually just as your wallet address.
Yes.
And what happens is the first time you go and use any interface and see the balance, they will be the same because the swap is 1-to-1. Now you start spending your Rev or receiving Rev. At that point, the balances will become different.
Okay.
So
right.
Yeah. So when you say you want to see how many rocks you have. You will first time after swap you will check the balance for your rev address, which is derived from your public key, right? And you need to see your balance on this rev address, because it must be converted from Ethereum.
Okay.
I don't understand why you are talking of rocks, because in my RChain wallet, I guess there will not be any rock amount or balance. It's all RChain, so rock does not exist anymore on the
No,
RChain platform.
actually, rock will always exist.
Yes, on the Ethereum chain, but my RChain wallet won't connect to any Ethereum-related endpoint or node.
Correct,
Okay.
but you know, somebody could create a secondary. I mean, who knows? But that rock still exists, and
Okay.
so nothing is happening to people's rock. So that's an important thing. Also, the rock will live forever on the Ethereum blockchain.
Okay. So from the user experience, they won't necessarily see a rock balance on my RChain wallet. It'll still be there on their old wallet, but not on the my RChain wallet. On the my RChain wallet, what all they'll see is the rev and the associated balance.
Yes,
Right, unless somebody wants on the UI to put like a little thing, show my old rock balance or something. But that's up to the wallet creator.
Yeah, that as we work through this, we can have those discussions from what do we want the user experience to be like, or at least we need as a co-op or RChain communicate these details that yes, your rock will always live in perpetuity, but it'll be on your old wallet. The new wallet, my RChain wallet, will show the rev, your new rev balance. So as long as that's on the website or explained somewhere, yeah, okay.
So
Good.
if I want to see Steve's rev balance, I can use his Ethereum address, which is his public key, and derive from that the rev address and see his balance, right? I don't need his private key.
yes.
Correct.
And of course, you will be able to check the history, and if you go to the beginning of your wallet, this will be the balance that you transferred from the Ethereum.
So, Tomislav, I've got a question about the history. How a user, how a developer might get the full history of a wallet.
So I don't have this information, and I'm not sure that they already built this whole API.
Okay.
Definitely want to try it and know how to do it. Yeah. Dominic
Okay.
just told me that they are building so you can explore this execution trace, and I don't know anything more.
Okay. So Tomislav, with your discussions with Dominic, so I understand he's the one who's working on listen for data at name, and so there's still a few components that he needs to complete. So with your effort, do you still need to wait for Dominic to finish those things, or with the event or the block API, do you have everything you need to finish off the piece, your piece for the wallet?
Yeah, I need to wait
You need to wait.
this API to be finished.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
that helps. So I know that he's working on it. He needs another week and a half approximately to finish the listen for data at name. So, and that'll be
really?
timely. That's according to from the dev stand up. So he's focused solely on that piece on that ticket, on that those components. So a week and a half, I don't think more than 2 weeks was the timeline. So Armin's working on the front end, doing the account creation and some other things. Dominic's working on the listen for data at name. So in about a week and a half, I think, where we're going to be at is things will start coming together as far as what I see.
Excellent. Yeah, for now you can see that this events API is published on the HTTP, like on WebSockets, and you only have new blocks when they are created, added, created, and finalized. So you don't have like history information from blocks. This is what we need.
Okay. So it will be the client's work to dig into blocks to understand what's in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope this will not be too too hard or complicated. Yeah. I think you will need to find your deploys in the history, right? Something like that. Yeah, but how to get exactly the results on the address, I'm not sure.
I'm a bit confused to hear that, because I find the preview private name interface working pretty well. So maybe
I think
what you're talking about will be complementary to that, I hope.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah,
but if not,
but maybe it can be very similar to that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe, yeah, maybe it can be complement. Maybe you will check that your block is finalized, and after the finalized, you will pull the data, right?
Yes.
Because you know the data is there.
What I do right now is just pulling, because if you get some data at a name, it means that it has been proposed and included into a block.
Yeah. So with these events, you will know when your block is finalized. So you will definitely know you have the data, and this data is right. What you need.
Finalized, it means that it has a sufficient stake weight attached to it. What does it mean exactly?
Finalized, it means that it will not change. This is like permanent data. All the network have consensus on the web.
Okay, even block reordering is impossible when a block is finalized?
Sorry, block?
Like proof of work stuff, when the block get cancelled and reordered to a longer chain.
Oh, so yeah, I'm not sure, but I think that when it's finalized, you cannot change it. It will never become orphan or something like that.
Okay.
But this is my understanding, because if this is not the final value, I'm not sure how we can work with that. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll ask.
I think that when it's finalized, you have 2/3 of the majority, already agree on the consensus, so you cannot. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, good. So
you can definitely check that, but yeah.
The next thought that I have is regarding signatures. So we've discussed a few possibilities as far as signing the transaction. Let's see if I can find. So certainly there's RChain, and then a NetZipper put into the discussion. Here, let me copy this here. Last week we were introduced to this. Bear with me. Dan Finley. Okay, so this is for what Ethereum uses, I understand, for signing, and I guess Ian, you were looking into that. So let's just maybe start a discussion on signing of the transaction and how that piece of it's going to fit into my RChain wallet. Anyone have any thoughts or comments?
So signing is not something complicated. The more complicated part is serializing the data that you are signing. So now,
okay.
Yeah, now we are using protobuf to serialize all the messages, but this is not really relevant for most of the data that you are exchanging with Arnold. But when you sending a deploy, you're signing exactly the serialized fields.
Okay.
So if you change serialization, this will not work anymore. So we need to use exactly the same serialization. And protobuf has an order of fields, so you can rely on the serialization that will always be the same.
Okay, so that's where, and I've been getting up to speed on protobuf and the serialization component. So that's going to be, that's where the real work is the serialization of the data, and then I guess we can decide on what tool in order to sign it. But that'll be that component will be completed or part of the my RChain wallet.
Yeah, and we can publish the templates of the code, so you can easily do it yourself. And I want to show that this is exactly what is a tricky part on the serialization. That you need to use usually some generated code from protobuf that you can serialize only part of the data that needs to be serialized and sign. And after you fill this object, you serialize it and then you sign it.
Okay.
And usually you don't care about serialization. This is done in the background. But for this like a special purpose, you are serializing this object with only some of the fields, and then you're signing. And the signature is not very complicated. Also.
Okay, well that's encouraging. It's good to know that piece of it is, you know, we've got a handle on that. So okay, good.
Yeah, and of course this is like a complication because you can easily sign something, but to get the content is tricky. You need exactly the same serialization method that Arnold will use to deserialize.
Okay, so you know, as far as getting that piece of information that needs to be serialized, do we have, as far as the RChain core development, do we have everything there that we need in order to accomplish that, or are we waiting are we waiting on anything, or do we have what we need?
Yeah, this is part of the generated things for protobuf. And
okay, it's all related to the protobuf. Okay,
I created this helper method to, you know, so you don't have to do it yourself.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because it's related to API. So this is why it's, you know, you cannot just extract it away from API stuff.
Well, good. Well, good. And so let's see, what other components or what other aspects of my RChain wallet do we need to discuss that we haven't discussed yet? Any comments or thoughts? Okay, so it sounds like we understand what all of the pieces are that need to be developed, and we know who's working on what and how everything's coming together. So Ned, how do you feel about the wallet effort?
Oh, I'm really heartened by how much great work. I mean, Tomislav, this is, I mean, I'm really impressed. Plus, your code is like beautiful. And you know, I've been looking at code for many years, so it's like I could actually see and understand your code, and that's like craftsmanship. That's really great. So
Yeah,
thank
I love this kind of, you know, the code speaks for itself.
Yeah, and then Arvin, you know, I'm really happy at, you know, the UI and the progress you've made. So I mean, I think it's great. This is like, you know, really wonderful, you know, that the community is doing this.
So, let me just think about, you know, the timeline on, you know, what's happening both with the wallet, with core development, our timeline going forward, and okay, so for directors, and see, let's maybe have a few words on what are our next steps. So we know what Arvin's working on, what Tomislav's working on, and the core development. Given, I think, in another, you know, 2 to 3 weeks, that we should have cost accounting and listen for name should be finalized. So now we're into about the middle of October, and ideally we want about a month worth of network testing. So that's going to take us into the first couple weeks of November. But we by sometime in November, we should be at mainnet. Everything should be ready to go. So my RChain wallet, it sounds as if once that we have cost accounting, or more importantly, listen for data at name, here in the coming in October, we'll have everything that we need. So we'll be able to create, have a finished copy of my RChain wallet. And then at that time, perhaps we can do once we do some internal testing amongst ourselves and feel confident that, hey, this is what we want and it's working the way we want, as the community, we can do a demonstration to the community, maybe on the Wednesday community call, kind of announce, say, hey, this is the community coming together. We've created my RChain wallet, and this is how it's going to work. So the RChain community will know that piece, that component, is being addressed, and there's something there. So give them that sense of confidence that the wallet has been created, it's working, and then we're just waiting for the hardening to finish for us to be at mainnet. So that's kind of the progression or timeline as I see it. Anyone have any thoughts on that, or any insights?
So I would like to see maybe some other simple applications built in this style, right? So we can have more confidence that you know, the wallet will work as expected. And we can maybe create something similar for managing test revs on testnet, right? We can make on testnet some contracts that can give you like test reps, because we need some kind of mechanism to distribute reps on testnet. So
okay, so that would be our internal
we
testing.
Maybe we can play with that.
Okay, so we know there's, you know, the bonds file, you know, there's certainly a private key available where we can get test rev, but I'm aware there's another ticket that's being worked where, you know, where we would be able to get test rev. So I'll keep an eye on that ticket. So let's incorporate that as far as part of the testing. Us, you know, we create an account. We get each of us get some test rev assigned to us, and then we exchange. We transfer funds, and we can monitor that. So, and if we do that for, so, you know, after a couple weeks, maybe we'll feel more confident as far as the hardening. I guess we could call it the hardening of the wallet. So, but yes, let's certainly add that as a component to the testing of the wallet. So, thank you. Okay, we got another 5 minutes, but we don't necessarily need to use that. Anyone have any final thoughts, insights?
Yeah, maybe I'd like to add something. It's about, I don't know if you followed this story. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Share that one. So you know the story of my Ether wallet being hacked last year or the year before it? So basically, it's a website with a Ethereum wallet, and it got hacked through DNS hacking. You know. So this is one of the main purpose of what I'm building, DAPI. The main purpose is not to use the DNS system and to distribute decentralized applications through another system, which is the DAPI system. So so I guess if we myRChainWallet.com will probably be the address where it will be deployed, but we have to be very, very careful to have a rock solid DNS security or DNS protection if we deploy it as a sort of an official wallet. We have to keep that in mind because it will be subjected to attacks. That's for sure.
Let me wait. Can you copy and paste that article into the chat? I'd be interested in reviewing that. Yes.
So just
yeah, we can
I lost my
discuss.
Okay, I'll post it. So sorry.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that we need to discuss more things about security and how to, in which way you can start and using my RChain wallet, in offline mode or.
So just to keep you informed of what I'll try to do, I won't be I think a main developer on the wallet because I don't have time. But what I try to do is to fork the wallet code base and try to set it up as a DAPI application, so I can simply demonstrate what's the purpose of the project I'm leading. So instead of having a website, so that's the purpose of DAPI, is that it doesn't use the DNS system, and it is supposed to be very much more secure than the DNS system. So I'll try to, as it gets bigger and more advanced, I'll try to fork the wallet application and turn it into a DAPI application.
So can you say something about DAPI? And you need to download all the files, right? All the JavaScript, all the CSS and everything, right? And package up in a
yes.
deploy.
Yes.
Yes,
it's included in the blockchain.
So, do you have any notion of SSL and how do you think this might work? And for now for mainnet and later, how do you think about that?
Of SSL?
Yeah, like something like HTTPS.
So that's
because you are downloading this from.
So
RChain,
the idea
right?
is that.
Nice.
Yes, the idea is that the application developer does not worry on any network or SSL issue. he just develops his JavaScript applications and deploys it. And then it is the DAPI network and the DAPI ecosystem that takes care of all the network issues. So the application issuer does not have to acquire a SSL certificate. So all these blockchain nodes are part of the DAPI network, and they are all co-responsible of distributing blockchain resources to the clients. And all these links here are HTTPS routes, and every blockchain node manages its security itself. So that's the main difference with with DNS system and legacy web, is that you don't have a single endpoint anymore. You have multiple. So if this blockchain node crashes, it's fine because there will be 3 other blockchain nodes available. So that's the idea. The idea is that there is a decorrelation between a name and a IP address. When you acquire a name on DAPI, like that one, RChain wallet, you don't link it to an IP address. So that's why you don't need a SSL certificate. You just link that name to a blockchain resource, which is the unforgeable name at which you have uploaded your JavaScript bundle. And you ask all the members of the DAPI network for this very resource. And it gets loaded to your client browser. So I'm currently running tests with 10 network members. So maybe there will be like 3 or 4 at first. So that's the idea, but I will definitely do a more clear presentation dedicated to the RChain community, so everyone can understand a bit more how it works and how it relates to some real world issues, like a website being hacked.
Right, exactly.
Oh, nice. And you you can publish your application, and also you're assigning the deploy, right? Because your whole application is packaged up in
Yes.
one deploy, and right, and you're securing your version of application, or this release with your public key, with this deploy, right?
I'm not sure to have understand.
So when I want to check if really you who publish this application, I can be sure because I know the name is something that only you have access because of your private key, right? And I know that you signed the deploy for this application.
Yes, DAPI is just like a web browser. The only works you can do is sign some rolling code, send it to some RChain nodes, and then make requests for which are listen data name request to load some resources. It's just like a website is complete. A web browser is agnostic to the website you are visiting. DAPI is the same thing. You can store anything you want on the blockchain, and it will get loaded on the DAPI browser.
So you have something like DNS on your site, right? When you're relating names to.
I might show you very quickly because it's a bit cool. Of course, if that's fine, Steve, is that fine?
Yeah, you're welcome.
For me to take
everyone, we're done with the main topic of my RChain wallet. So you're welcome to review this, and everyone's welcome to stay on if they have the time.
I'm going to have to leave now, so the recording will end here.
Okay.
Bye now.
Okay, thank you, Jim.